Manifestation Pod. We are Louise and Sam, two ordinary mums living extraordinary lives through friendship, self-improvement, manifestation, the law of attraction, and a little bit of the magic. We look forward to you joining us on our fortnightly podcast.
Okay.
Hi! I thought Sam was going to do the introduction and say, hi everybody, and she obviously thought I was going to do it. So we frantically doing sign language to each other over Zoom, and yeah, neither of us are doing it. So hi, good morning. It's a Sunday morning, and it is episode 7 of the Manifestation Pod. Hi Sam, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. Seven episodes. Wow, that's quite cool.
Oh, it is quite cool, but then when you think we started in January, I'm like, that's not fortnightly.
Yeah, sorry about the little hiatus, everyone. Again, we'll try and get more regular with it.
Yeah, well, we did, last time we spoke, we did say we'd do one every other weekend, and we would release it on a Monday, so that we've got some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Rhythm?
Rhythm, love it. Yeah, rhythm. Yeah, consistency. That's what I was thinking of. But yeah, so there's some consistency to it rather than what we're doing at the moment, which is just like when we can find time, like slotting one in. So yeah, we're going to start doing that so that on a Monday, every other Monday, there will be a new pod available. So if we do have any regular followers, maybe we should start like a Facebook page or something. So if people actually listen to this, because we know people listen to it because I've just said to Sam we've had 198 downloads, which seems pretty good to me. It would be nice to know who those people are.
Who's listening and what they think about the episodes. We do have an Instagram page.
God, we do.
People can comment on that if they want. But yeah, let's set up a Facebook group as well. That would be good.
Yeah. Perhaps we could talk about the Instagram page when we're doing our little close at the end, and we can tell people where to find us, and they could put comments, and that would be really interesting. I was looking at the locations of where people are, and there's people in Bolton. I don't know anyone in Bolton, so I don't think I do anyway. And there's some really odd places like Karachi. Don't even know where that is.
Yeah, definitely some people that we don't know. So it's nice to see it getting out there, and thanks for listening.
Yeah, it's not just our mums.
Love it. We're going to have a little check-in then, a little quick check-in.
Yeah.
How's your last few weeks been, Louise?
Good. So we went to France for a little half-term holiday. Went to a Euro camp, stayed in the best one we've ever been to. It was amazing. Yeah, it was really, really nice. It's been a funny few weeks because, like any working parent, a holiday is a bit of a nightmare the week before and a little bit of a nightmare the week after. So you have this lovely week, but the build up to it was I didn't really see anybody. I didn't really make plans. Social life took a little bit of a hit because I was ironing summer clothes and holiday clothes. I wasn't. I was actually looking for them because obviously we moved house 5 weeks ago. So that was a little bit stressful. And then this week I've come back. I've had a kidney infection, which hasn't been particularly pleasant, and the weather has been glorious, which has been lovely. But I've come back to being really busy at work, not moaning about that. It's great. It's all good. But yeah, I've just had 2 very busy, stressful, doing all kind of boring housey things, sorting out washing, that stuff. But then a fabulous holiday in the middle of it, so I'm not moaning.
Excellent. Vibes still high?
Yeah, they are high. I mean, I feel like they're just generally high. They're not high for any particular reason, but I'm not really high. I'm just at my normal um, you have a flow with your mood, don't you? And I'm just
Yeah.
very steady at the moment. I'm not peaking. I'm
Yeah.
just I'm just happily content at the moment. I think after this week, my office at home is being sorted out today. I do have somebody there doing it at the moment. I'm hoping by lunchtime my office will be done. That'll make life easier because I'm currently working from the kitchen table, which is impacting family life quite heavily.
Awesome. Well, I had half term too. We didn't go away anywhere, but we had a really nice week, and the weather's been phenomenal, hasn't it? So I think the last time we recorded, I was in a meh vibe.
Yeah.
Definitely moved on from there. It's,
In
um,
which direction?
it's
Have you
gone
gone
up,
up?
gone
Gone
up.
down?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
definitely
that's
gone
good.
up. Yeah, yeah. I'd say I'm a medium vibe rather than high vibe. So that's all good. I've been like diving into my yoga nidra training, which has been really lovely. I'm really enjoying that and progressing with that. And yeah, life is good in the sunshine, I think.
It does make everything better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It really does, for sure.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you hear my cat? I'm just going to move him because he's just. Apologies. He sat behind me, squawking at the top of his voice, so I've just sent him out into the sunshine.
No worries. So, money mindset. Over to you, Money Maestro, to start us off.
Oh, I like that. So, as per usual, I've got no notes. I'm just going to, wing it as I do live, pretty much. But I'm going to start by talking about. It's quite interesting because I was going to do a. I've got a Facebook page, my business, and Instagram, and I was going to do a post about perception. Have I done a post about perception? I don't know. It's in my mind. I need to do it. But it's interesting how people perceive money, their own finances. So I work with individuals who need a steer on the finances. And it's interesting that what everybody seems to have in common is what they think about their finances and what their finances actually are seem to be two different things very often. And that's really like strange. So I've worked with two people in particular. One person um, wanted to buy a house and really thought that she was in no position whatsoever in the next probably 4 years to buy a house. Self-employed, and I don't know. She just, because the perception was that she had no money. She acted like she had no money, and therefore had no organisation with money. So when she needed money, she'd just draw money out of a bank account, but really small amounts because she was scared of drawing out too much in case she went overdrawn or she was in a mess. But actually, when we went through her finances, they were really, really healthy. And she was kind of drawing out little bits, thinking, oh, I can't take a wage from the business yet because we're not earning that much. And actually, two things. One, yes, you absolutely can take a wage from the business. And once you start doing that on a regular basis, you can get a mortgage. I said that really quickly. But also, the small amount she was taking out from the business for herself equated to the amount which she wanted as a salary anyway. So instead of taking, I don't know, for example, £2,000 a month in one go and going, right, this is mine, this is my wage to do what I want. She was like thinking, oh, I need to do a food shop, I'll just draw out £30 and I'll just get a few bits. And then do the same the following day and kept doing that. So I had this real lack mentality and this real poor me mentality when it came to finances. And when we went through them, I was like, you can absolutely take money from the business on whatever day you want each month and have a salary. She's never had a salary. So there was that. And then I had another client who just overspent basically and thought she had more money than she had and was always spending things that just were unnecessary. And we did a bit of work around kind of money blocks with that, but unnecessary. And yeah, she just really thought she had a lot more money than she had because she didn't budget. So we did a budget for her. But yeah, it was just interesting about perception. So then that leads me nicely to I did a little course myself on money about a month ago. And one of the things to do, I think it was it a course, was it a book? I can't remember. But one of the things it said was to write down how much money comes into your household for 1 month. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I know exactly how I'm a bloody money coach, for God's sake. I know exactly how much money's coming into my household on a monthly basis because you have a salary and you have other bits and you know how much it is. But I thought, I'll do it. I'll follow the process. So I wrote it down. So I did. I've got it in front of me. May 2023. I wish I had a calculator. Hang on, I'm going to find one. So if I'm making a bit of noise, I apologise. But in May 2023, so I moved house on the 28th of April. So May was not your average month. And I do accept it wasn't my average month. But I had, let me do it in percentages. So I had something like, I'm going to do a very quick calculation in my head. 3 times more money than I have on any other month. And that isn't including money from the sale of my property. That's just all other extras. And I was absolutely flabbergasted by that because when I added it up, I was like, oh my God. And it's all bits of money that I would never ever think to add up in my monthly income. So I'll give you some examples of what they were, like what the actual amounts were from. So one was British Gas owed me some money. I think we got that, when you got that £67 a month thing from the government, if you had a direct debit set up, it went into your bank. Well, my direct debit cancelled in March for British Gas. Anyway, they owed me a refund. It was £67, but that was just like a bit of extra money that came in that I didn't know about it. Somebody, it's complicated. I don't really want to talk about it on here, but somebody in my family, we had a bit of, they were supposed to do something, they didn't do it, and they didn't want me to be out of pocket. They put £600 in my bank account just to not have me out of pocket for something that they thought they'd done that would take me out of pocket. The mad thing was, when I worked it out, they didn't owe me any, I was not out of pocket when I owed her. So I gave them the money back and they were like, well, just keep £100 of it. So that was, and it was just, what was interesting about this was, as I was writing it down, it said, check your bank every day, check what's in green and what's coming in. The more I did it, the more money I got. And I know we read and we hear about like financial abundance, and if we believe in this, don't we? If you walk around thinking you've got loads of money, you're not worried about money, it comes to you. Oh my God, it kept on coming. My mortgage company, I just had this extra like £600 in my bank account, and I was like, this was another £600. Everything seems to be £600. It's like, where's that come from? And when I checked with the mortgage company, the day that I sold my house, a mortgage payment came out. And because they'd already done the calculation with the solicitors for how much money I owed them, they didn't take that into account. So I paid a mortgage payment and they refunded it to me. And I was like, oh, right, okay, brilliant. I've got a spare £600. So that was that. I got £100 from a bank account that I'd forgotten I had that did some kind of, we're sending all our customers £100. I still don't really understand what that was for. I kept meaning to Google it. Some nationwide thing. Nationwide, I have no idea, but anyway, they put £100 in a bank account. Yeah, that was it in terms of extras. And then on top of that, I got a tax refund of £400. That, no idea where that came from or why that happened. It didn't come through my salary either. It came through as a check. So that was extra. A refund from the holiday company for some mess up that they did. They took 2 payments instead of one. I didn't even notice because when you're moving house, you've got that much coming out of your bank account. I paid for it in March, I think, and they refunded it in May. That was another £600. Honestly, it was unbelievable. So my point is, I can't believe, and I've not even totaled up what the grand total was. I did do it at the time, but I've not wrote it down. But I would never have known that month I was getting that much money. So my point is again about perception. You think you know what's coming in. Write down just for 1 month. Like, I think everyone should do that. Write down for just 1 month what money you've got coming in.
Yeah.
And you're surprised, like, people owing you money, putting it in your bank account, people paying for things. There was another thing. I didn't get this as money as such, but I was due to go and see I was going to a gig at the MEN and it got cancelled because one of the lead singers was ill. And we decided to cancel. There was a group of us going, and the person that organised it said, "Should we just cancel it and we won't go?" And I completely forgot that I'd paid for it. And then I was going to another gig, and when I asked her how much I owed, she was like, "Oh, you don't owe me anything because you've still got that money in credit from." And I was like, "All right, okay." So that was that, and I didn't even include that, but there's other sources of income that's not income. You were saying, Sam, yesterday that you got a free ticket to a festival,
Mm.
things like that.
Yeah.
That's still money that you were not paying out for. So yeah, that's quite interesting. I mean, you had a very interesting conversation yesterday, which again is in this vein about knowing the difference between feeling, sometimes we all feel a bit poor, but knowing the difference between feeling poor because you've got no money to do the things you want to do,
Mm.
and there are some things that we find too expensive and not confusing the two. So the example we had was um, you went somewhere where there was a buffet for kids for £25 a head,
Yeah.
which is horrifying. That's
Mm.
a ridiculous amount of money for food on a day out with your kids, because as you know, anything with the word children in front of it already has a premium.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, even if you were a millionaire, if I was a millionaire, I would not pay £25 for my child to eat chicken nuggets and bloody fries at an adventure park. Not in a million years.
I know when you say it like that, like it makes so much sense. But I have like a really different kind of relationship and mindset with money from you. And I think I'm always learning from you to try and turn around my money mindset. I think like for most of my adult life, I've kind of ignored money and shied away from it and not wanted to focus on it. And I think the last 12 months, probably while I've been doing the law of attraction stuff, I've been so much more conscious of it and changing my mindset around it. And
Oh, God.
yeah, and I really do believe that like money is just energy and it is infinite and there's enough out there for everyone now. And I really truly feel that, but I never felt that like the rest of my life. So I think I'm still like overcoming a lot of those blocks that I've carried around the rest of my life where um it still feels hard to come by. Like that's amazing that you had all those like surprising things into your bank account. But I have to say, nothing like that currently happens to me. Like I have an alert on my phone for like unexpected money, or just incomings. And I have a spreadsheet and I track it as like a money magnet tracker, which I think is from one of the books
Oh,
from the book club. So I'm really aware of what comes in and I track those sort of things that I win and things like that as well. So
you see,
yeah,
it's interesting you say that. Again, let's go back to perception, because you say you don't have that.
yeah,
And to be fair, that month it was because I've moved house. A lot of it was absolutely to do with moving house, because I was tying up a lot of accounts with like British Gas and my old mortgage. So it was a good month to do it. It's just there was a lot going on. But I think you're really lucky. You are always getting free stuff. I remember going to I think we took the kids to, when we used to take them to visit Father Christmas. I'm sure we went to the Trafford Centre one year. I'm sure it was Christmas, or it might have been one of your kids' birthdays. I can't honestly remember. In fact, it might have been Georgie's birthday, because we went to Legoland and we went in the Lego shop afterwards, and you got like a mass. You bought some stuff, but you
mm,
bought a £60 Lego set, which you obviously George is older than the girls. For me, was like, oh my god, that's really expensive for Lego. I
yeah.
didn't know at this point our girls were smaller, like how expensive Lego is. You got it for free. They never charge you for it.
Really? Gosh, I don't remember
Yeah.
that. Wow.
For that vividly. I was like, that's so jammy. And I remember thinking stuff like that never happens to me. I will get charged twice for it and not notice.
It just shows the perception though, doesn't it? Like, and it's not even about
Exactly.
being grateful for it because like everything that every money or abundance that comes in, I literally do write it down and I say thank you, thank you, thank you, and I say it out loud and I feel it. So I'm grateful for it. But that doesn't equate to your whole perception of it even, does it? Which is really interesting. And just
Yeah.
shows like the kind of things you have to be really conscious of and keep overcoming to keep that good flow going, I think.
And
Um,
maybe if you wrote down, so you're saying you're doing this tracker, maybe if you wrote down freebies you got
yeah,
and you saw on a regular basis that, because I think you're dead lucky with you're always getting free stuff. You're always telling me you got a free coaching course once, you got a free,
yeah,
you seem to attract free stuff. And maybe that's because you don't have a mindset about that. So you're quite, you're not thinking about it. You've got no negative thoughts about it. So therefore, you're just absolutely attracting that on a very regular basis, I think. So I think for you, maybe log that because even though that might not come in as income as such, that's saving you money because
yeah,
particularly stuff when you're about to pay £60 for something and you get it for free. I mean, that's income right there.
yeah, that's true. It's all abundance, isn't it? It's all like a total gift and something to be grateful for, isn't it? It's
Yeah, it really is.
yeah,
So yeah, maybe I don't know. I think I know what you're saying about mindset. I think you do. So my money mindset is that I've always had enough money. I've always thought that. I've always and sometimes definitely when I was younger, lived beyond my means. But I always had the mentality that it'll be fine. And it always was. But then I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod, but I got married in 2009. Like, oh my God, it was a whirlwind romance. It was an absolute disaster. And I got married. And long story short, I was left in a huge amount of debt from that marriage. I married not a very nice person. And it was as over as quickly as it started. I think the whole thing from start to finish, from meeting him to leaving him, was 12 months to the day, would you believe? Um, and for the first time ever, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? No, I had nothing. I had no money. I had no job. I had no home. I gave up everything for him. I did have a home actually, and it was rented out in Manchester. I didn't live in Manchester then. So I did have that, but that's all I had. And I really thought to save that because I had no job and because of what had happened, I was not in a good place at all either. So I didn't have the usual Louise, oh, come on, you'll be fine. I wallowed. And the more I wallowed, the harder life got. And I really got in this spiral with money of not having enough money. And the more I was like, I've not got any money, I've not got any money, the more I had no money. And things happened. And when I look back to it now, I remember going out for lunch with somebody who I worked with who I didn't know very well. Um, we're really good friends now, and I must tell her this story. But we went out for lunch and we got to the restaurant, and it was in Trafford. It was quite an expensive restaurant, and it was a bit ad hoc. And I was thinking, oh my God, I really can't afford to be spending money on food. Like I'm really, really poor. And we got there and we ate our food and we went to pay. And she was like, "Oh shit, I've not got my card with me. Can you pay for it, Louise?" And I was just like, "Oh my God, this is awful. I've not got, I think it's about 60 quid or something." And I didn't have it in my bank. I must have had an overdraft or it went through on my card, but I was literally, and oh my God, the amount of times like now my card declines, not because there's no money in there, but because I don't know, after so many goals you've got to put it in. You don't think about it, do you? But back then, on that day, when I actually thought I didn't have £60 in my account, oh God, I could have cried. It was awful. And it did go through. But yeah, I think money is definitely a spiral. I think if you are feeling abundant and feeling like you've got enough money, you will always have enough money. But I think once you get in that spiral of having no money and feeling that lack, it definitely multiplies and things go wrong, and it's awful not having any money. And that's what made me start the business. I never wanted anybody to go from how I was, which was, fairly affluent. I had a really good job. I had credit cards and stuff, but it was all very manageable because I earned great money. I've always earned good money. I've never really thought about it. And then to not have that and to get out of that is so hard. And it's so hard because of your mindset. If I'd have switched my mindset, it would have come good a lot quicker than it did. And that was the basis for the business of, if life deals you an absolute curveball, one, dealing with it, but the more important part is early intervention of getting in a place with your finances where that would never happen. Like, that would not happen to me now because I have things in. I mean, I won't be so bloody stupid in future. I would not get into bed with somebody financially to the degree I did with. I mean, you think when you marry someone, you think that it's a fairly safe bet. Sadly for me, it wasn't. But yeah, that was quite a lesson. But I think if you are feeling a lack, that's more important to write it down. Don't just wait for alerts. Write down everything that comes in. And also, another thing I did a while ago was I wrote down where, and this wasn't actually about money, but this would definitely work for you. This was about where I was in my life. And I didn't do it 10 years ago because that was the year Charlotte was born, which was a really happy year for me. So I did it when I was in not a good place, which was 2010, which was potentially the worst year of my life. I did a list of where I was and the type of person and the life I led in 2010 and where I am now. And I was like, oh my God, I've achieved so much. And I mean, you don't even have to go back that far. You
Yeah.
only need to go back to, when did you move to the beautiful countryside? When did you move there?
It's like 2017, I think.
Right.
Mm.
So if you think about where you were then
Yeah.
and where you are now, not just
Mm.
in terms of, and I'm not even talking about just financially, but
Yeah.
financially, you are like in terms of just housing situation,
Yeah.
you've almost got a rags to riches story in terms of just the house.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think of the trap
Not dissing
you're
what you
in now.
had, but the situation you were in wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't good. You weren't trapped, and the lifestyle that you've got now compared to there, and importantly, your kids' lifestyle. Because I remember you saying to me you didn't want your eldest walking the streets where you used to live.
Mm.
Remember that vividly
Yeah.
because you didn't feel it was, the right environment. And where you are now, you don't really need to worry about that obvious, other than the obvious stuff, like
Yeah. No, it's true. It is like very different. And I was thinking about it yesterday because we met in Manchester yesterday and
we did.
drove up the motorway junction that I would always drive up at that house that we were trapped in. And I was thinking back to when I bought that house actually in 2007 and how I visualized and manifested that house because as I was buying it, I'd lived miles away, but I just kept driving up to it. And I always remember going up to that junction then, like single person, like 23, I think, 23, like finishing work in Manchester and just driving to that house because at that time I really wanted it. So I was thinking about that visualization. And then I was thinking through to when like I'd have George and I was working all the hours, God send. He'd be at like parents' nursery and, getting home at 7 o'clock at night and driving up that motorway junction and thinking, oh my God, we've got like half an hour now. I've had like the worst day at work and I do not want any of this for the rest of my life. And thinking about fast forward to now of like, I don't have any of that. I can pick the kids up from school. I'm always there for all them. I live somewhere completely different. My life is completely different and the freedoms that I have now. So I did do a little like talk to myself back then to like, appreciate where I am
Yeah.
now. Like,
And as well, in terms of, so you've just talked about your job and or your lifestyle rather, and how you can spend more time with the kids and be more there and be more present, like literally and physically. but as well, the job situation.
Mm.
You were so unhappy in your old job,
Yeah.
like really unhappy and trapped there as well. And you've took a risk,
Yeah.
and but you've done it.
Yeah, and created something for myself. I think I did do a little happy dance for like, I don't know, 2008 me, who would never have believed what I'm working on now, you know. And I don't think I've ever really told the pod, but like, you know, I've started my own charity in 2011 and now I run it full time, you know, as the only employee. And 2008 me, well, one, the charity didn't exist then for a start, but I don't think I ever would have believed that I would have created something like this that I could be, you know, spending full time on, and it giving me sort of the freedom and you know, passion and challenge that I have now. So yeah, there is a heck of a lot to be grateful for. It's a really
Yeah,
good little reminder of it, really.
yeah,
And it makes me
and
fast forward in my mind to like 2028 me. What's she going to be saying and looking back on of like,
exactly.
how the heck did we get here?
And I think like about your house and about I think we go through like cycles, don't we? So the house that you couldn't wait to get rid of and hated it at the end, you wanted that house so much. There's a quote I read on Instagram probably, which is where it's not exactly this, but something about where you are now, you once only dreamed of. And that's so important to remember that where you are now, like physically where we both are now, we both once dreamed of. And even but then things go so that house that you wanted so much, you come to the end of the cycle and you're like, can't wait to get rid of it and move on to the next chapter. I was exactly the same with my old house. I mean, I really, I'll tell the story one day about how I manifested that old house. I mean, that story is bonkers. But then at the end of it, oh my God, I couldn't wait to move out. And it's quite funny since I've been in this new house, which has been, what, 6 weeks, because my mind has stopped thinking, shall I move or shall I do some more jobs or shall I do an extension? Oh, because all that's gone out of my head. My head's so much clearer to like think about other lovelier things than that problem that I seem to be battling in my own head for such a long time. Um, but yeah, we go through cycles. So yeah, where you are in 2028, because you might find the charity runs its course at some point, and you might want to move on to other things. You might not, but yeah, there's always you're doing the yoga thing. You don't know where that's going to be. Me and Ian, although he's now told me he's moving to Bristol, which puts a little bit of a kibosh on it. But we're looking at opening like a health and wellbeing centre in our hometown. And I've spoke to you about, you're going to do yoga. That'll be something that's definitely integral to what we want to achieve there. So there's just loads of life just has lots of opportunities, doesn't it? You don't know. My dad said to me once, he's not one for saying deep and meaningful things at all, but once he said to me, and this was actually at the end of my marriage, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And at the time, I was like, I do, my life's over. And he was like, no, you don't know what's around the corner. And that was in 2010. And I think the thing I was crying about was because my marriage had ended. I felt like at the age of, I think it was 37, 38, I felt like my chance of having children went with that marriage being over.
Yeah.
And that's what I was crying about because I never wanted children. And he kind of persuaded me that I might want them and it might be on the cards. And that made me think about it for the first time ever. Anyway, and I just remember feeling like, yeah, life is over. And my dad said that to me. And then 3 years later, I had Charlotte.
Mm. Yeah,
Like
it's
three
just
years after that, yeah. And
anything
you
is
think,
possible.
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say anything is possible, isn't it? And I was just thinking, in the
Yeah,
spirit of Father's Day, there's something from my dad that really sticks in my mind. Of, like he always said, like holidays are a state of mind, and it always stuck with me. Like that's a perception thing, you know. If you want to feel like you're on holiday, you can. You can make yourself. You can perceive yourself into that. Obviously, it's not 100% the same as a holiday, but I just think that's nice advice of like, it's all a state of mind, it's all a perception.
It absolutely, your life is a perception.
Yeah.
If you, I'm not sure if you can hear the banging in the background, but honestly, I feel like someone is going to come through the ceiling. Um, it is a perception, and your life is how you feel it is, and how you live it. People, I don't. Yeah, it is. I think people as well, people that are negative, they just see the black in a situation. I've always seen the good in everything, or I've got a real Pollyanna attitude to life that I've always put a spin on it. Everything that happens that other people, not everybody obviously, but would see as a disaster or a stressful thing, I just think it's quite funny, really. We've just come back from holiday, me and Charlotte on our own, like nobody else with us, first ever holiday, just the two of us. I lost the key to where we were staying on the first night. I mean, that's ring the locksmith because there was no spare key. I'm sure some people would stress about that, but I'm just like, oh, it'll be fine. We'll figure something out. We'll go to a hotel if we have to. They'll put us up somewhere. And Charlotte, bless her, was like, how are we going to pay for it? And I said, I've got my bank card. Then she reminded me the bank card was actually in the place that we were locked out of. But I was like, oh, Charlotte, we've got friends. Someone will pay for a hotel for one night for us. But yeah, everything is about perception. And if you think yourself poor, you will be poor. And if you think yourself rich, you will be rich. And I don't mean rich just in terms of money, but your life. I um I work for an employer. I mean, I know I've got my side business, but I work for an employer because at this season of my life, I've worked for myself before where I've earned my own money and it didn't serve me well, particularly. I found it really, really stressful. And at this time in my life of having a small child, I want a salary. So sometimes I look around at everybody, doing exactly what they want to do and thinking, oh, I want to do that. But then I think, but actually, I could do that. I've chosen not to. I've chosen to be in a job that gives me flexibility. I've got a great employer. It's got great benefits, and that's really important to me right now. Um, so yeah, I think, and then if you're working for yourself and your money's not regular, you think to yourself, "Well, I could get a job with regular money. This is the choice I made, the lifestyle I want." So it's all about putting a spin on it. And I think writing is so important, like journaling. I mean, I say this and never do it, but when I have done it, when I wrote down where I was 13 years ago and where I am now, and yeah, I know it's 13 years, it's a long, long time, but oh my God, I'm a different person. I'm a better person. I understand myself so much better.
Mm.
And for you to write that down and for you to write down all the free stuff you get and all the wins you get and the fact that your achievements, I think you should definitely sit and write down everything you've achieved
Mm.
from moving to now. And I think you'd have reams of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reams. I mean, even the old school that George was in,
Yeah.
you weren't happy with that. There was lots of things that you've probably forgotten about now that he's coming to the end of his school life
Yeah.
that were really stressful at the time.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do remember a lot of that. But yeah, you soon forget, don't you? When you get into the next phase,
You
you
do.
start like coming up with, other problems, don't you?
You
And
do. Yeah,
other
we all
things.
do it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the moment as well, and I just want to add a little caveat to this about perceptions of money. I am aware there's a cost of living crisis going on, and I am aware that we're all stretched. I don't want to make light of anyone who's struggling out there because we're all making sacrifices. I went through my direct debit yesterday and I was like, do you know what? If there's anything that I can get rid of, I really need to because I know my mortgage is going to jump up next year with what's happening with mortgage rates and, gas and electric and stuff. So if there are people out there that haven't got enough money and are struggling, then I know that you can't just change it through mindset. But I do also believe that if you do change your mindset, it will get better. It might not get better overnight, I'm not saying you're going to win the lottery, but it will get better. And think about kind of harder times and where you've come, because are all evolving every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any, like, if someone is in, a really difficult situation or stuck in that lack mindset, something that they could pick up today that would help them, like a book or something that you'd really recommend?
Do you know what? It's difficult because as much as I talk about money, I read very little about money mindset. Simply because I am in the middle of writing a book, and because I'm very kind of susceptible to other people talking and listening, and I'm so scared of reading other books about money and then inadvertently like pinching stuff. So I've purposely stayed away from any money mindset books. But I think I'm trying to think what podcasts are out there at the moment. I think if you just had a law, Francesca Amber does a law of attraction podcast. I think that's a really good place to start to kind of make you think about the way we think about things and we perceive our own life, and to make those changes. And I think once you've got that in place and you kind of understand that, you can apply it to any area of your life. And I think you can definitely apply it to money. There's a book that I am reading actually at the moment called Fuck You Chaos. Um, You'd have to Google it for the author. It's right by the side of my bed, so it's not in front of me. But that is a good book about decluttering your life. And I'm only up to the like physical decluttering at the moment, but there is a section on money. But the bit that I've read so far is definitely making me feel very, very motivated in a really high vibe. And I think the idea behind it is to, if you declutter your life and you get rid of everything you don't need, that will free your mind up to think about other things, to declutter your finances, to get ahead with your finances. And I have to say, since moving to this house, I did a massive declutter before I moved. I'm still decluttering, I'm still unpacking, we're still nowhere near settled at all. I think it's going to be a long journey, but I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff, and the more stuff I'm getting rid of, it's freeing up my mind and even my own money mindset. I've moved on this week to something that I've been putting off for such a long time, but pensions. And I know that the whole law of attraction, I don't know, it tends to be people are younger. There might be a lot of people not thinking about pensions at the moment. But me, myself, I've moved on to leaving kind of current finances and really thinking about pension, where I want to be and how I'm going to get there. And I've done a plan this week that's really excited me. So I think for everybody, look at where you are with money, where you are right now, where you've been, where you are, and where you want to be, and set some goals around that. And I think once you set goals, it becomes a little bit more manageable and a bit more realistic that you can get there, rather than just thinking. Because for me, I preach to people, but I don't take my own advice. The whole pension thing, I've got pensions, but I've absolutely no idea where I'm up to with them. And it just seemed like one of those, it's definitely a block for me.
Yeah.
And actually, when I've done some work on it this week, I'm like, oh, actually, it's not that scary. I know exactly what I need to do and how I need to get there. I just need to make a plan. And now I've made the plan, it's a little bit clearer. I've still got work to do on it. But yeah, I think that's kind of decent advice. Look at where you are with finances and look at where you want to be and make a plan for how you're going to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. Goals and a plan really
Yeah.
don't they? I've just written a quick list of things that have like helped me, or things that I want to look into to help me, that might help people. There's a book called Hurt, Healing, Healed by Emma Mumford, which they're just about to do in Francesca Amber's book club this month, actually, which is designed to help you with your blocks on manifestation and abundance. So that looks really good. I'd definitely check that out. I know a lot of people recommend Get Rich, Lucky Bitch, another one for working on your money mindset, some blocks.
I forgot about that one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I've not read it, but it comes highly recommended, and I do want to read it.
I've got it. I've not read it, but remind me when I've read it. You can have it.
Brilliant, thank you. There's another manifesting kind of coach lady. I don't even think I've even mentioned this to you. I must share it with you. She's called Elizabeth Henson. And she, in the last 12 months, has like completely transformed her life with manifestation, from like being in debt with no house to living in a beautiful home. And she's offering really good value like money block courses online for people. Like one of them last week was like £11 for a 3-day money mindset course, and some of the results coming out of that are really, really good. And she's really good at offering free stuff as well, so she's a good one to start with. And I'll put these in the show notes of the podcast as well, so
All right, cool.
people can have a look. And then there's a Netflix series called How to Get Rich with Ramit Shah, I think his name is. That's really good as well, just to start getting into your mind about the planning and the goals and the vision you've got for your money. And he's really into like how to spend your money joyfully to make you happy as well, which is so, so important.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we talked about that yesterday about not buying things just for the sake of it, but buying kind of more expensive things that are better, will last longer, and you've got them then. Once you've got them, I've definitely had this mindset, and it started when I had the work done on my old house. Even though I knew I was probably going to sell it, I was like, I don't care. I want a Nest cooker. I want I want what I want. And even though I am going to sell it, I want it now the way I want it. I don't want to make do with a cheaper oven, for example. I want what I want, and I was really determined in that, and that served me well. That stayed with me. That mentality of I'm not spending money on things that, yeah, just making do. I hate that. You don't need to make do. You can have what you want, and again, it's all about what's important to you. If some people might not be bothered by a cooker, they might be happy with a really cheap one, and that's absolutely fine for them. But for me, I wanted a decent oven because I've not had one in that house because the kitchen needed doing for such a long time, and it just I was if the oven broke, and I just kept buying cheap ones when I'm not buying an expensive oven, because when I get the kitchen done, then I'll get it. And yeah, so I think that's important as well. And you actually end up spending less money overall if you buy things that last and that are decent. So yeah, it's better than just buying things that, it's only, I hear that a lot. It's only £5. Yeah, it's £5, but it's going up in the bin in
Yeah.
3 weeks, and you could spend £10, and that will keep last you forever.
Yeah, it's so true. It really is. So that's our take on money mindset. I hope people will enjoy that. I think there's so much in money mindset, isn't there? There's probably loads more that we can do on it, but hopefully we've given people some ideas and some resources there as well. And no matter where you are with your money, just know that it will change, it will pass, and focus and some goals and getting some more help with it will definitely turn it around if you're in a bad spot. And if you're in a good spot, keep your vibes high, keep that flow of abundance going.
Absolutely. And wherever you are, set some goals to get you where your next step wants to be or needs to be, to keep it moving as well. Because that's always good. I always think setting goals as well for anything, they keep your vibe high when you're working towards something.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in. That was episode 7 of the Manifestation Pod. Like, follow, and share on your podcast provider, and come and check out our Instagram page if you want to leave some comments about the episode. We'll actually post on there this time about the episode, and we'll look into getting like a Facebook group going for our regular followers. Thanks for listening.
Okay, bye everybody. Bye.
You've been listening to the Manifestation Pod with me, Sam Fillingham, and Louise Marshall. Please follow, subscribe, and rate our pod. Share with friends to support 2 ordinary mums living extraordinary lives.